Hey everyone, Yellow Trainer CJ here, and today we have another PvP Go video, and today's video is going to be the 5 best fighting type Pokemon for PvP when it comes to the Great League. So yes, we go over the top 5 fighting types that you can use, basically for like any tournament that has fighting typing, but then again, it depends on what other typings are available. So if there's like fighting and psychic, then you might not want to use fighting types. But yes, let's go ahead and get into this list. But first, make sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell, so that way you won't miss another video. Let's get going with this video. Alright you guys, so let's go into this top 5, and starting off with the number 5 spot, it's Toxicroak. With a max CP of 2,488, ranking in at 114, CP of 164, ranking in at 107th, attack is a nice 211, ranking in at 85th, defense is 133, ranking in 256, and stamina is 195, ranking in at 106. So this Pokemon is half decent overall. As you can see, the attack is its best stat, and yeah, it can hit pretty hard when it comes to just PvP. Like I'm about to go to a tournament actually right now in a bit. I'm gonna be doing the Montreal Safari Cup right here in my town. I'm not in Montreal, but we are doing the cup. It's like a practice cup because the month of September is the off month for tournaments when it comes to the Sylph Road, but next month is the Sinister Cup, which I already made a video for. But yes, Toxicroak is actually really good when it comes to the Safari Cup, but I'm sadly not using it, so there you go. I'm not using Toxicroak, but it is a very good Pokemon. The downfall of it is the defense, so really if it gets a super effective move against it, it won't, it won't last as long as you hope it will, but it can, give some nice hits. Let's go ahead and see the typing and move set. It is a poison and fighting type, with being vulnerable to psychic, flying, ground type, and it's 4 times weak against psychic because poison and fighting are both weak to psychic. It is resistant to fighting, grass, rock, poison, dark, and bug, with bug being a 4th instead of half damage. Quick move set, it's going to be poison jab and counter depending on what you want to use. As you can see, the EPS is both very close. Counter if you want to go up against like steel and rock types, or you can do poison jab if you want to go up against the grass types, and then you can use sludge bomb, mud bomb, and dynamic punch. I would say mud bomb is a pretty good counter to your fire type Pokemon, and then dynamic punch and sludge wave are also really good. I will say probably mud bomb and dynamic punch, or either sludge bomb and dynamic punch, just because dynamic punch is actually just really good. But yes, overall Toxicroak's pretty good. The movesets really do help it out. If it had Power Up Punch, that would be even better, and would make this Pokemon just that much better. It would probably be a number 1 spot if that was the case. Alright, let's go ahead and see what's the number 4. Coming in at the number 4 spot is Blaziken with a max CP of 2,848, ranking in 75th in Pokemon Go. HP of 160, ranking in at 125. Attack of 240, ranking in at 34th, really good. Defense of 141, ranking in at 224, which is the lowest stat. And then stamina of 190, ranking in at 113. So overall, this Pokemon's pretty good. Once again, the defense isn't the greatest. It tends to be a theme with the fighting types, except for a few. But you will see that. And then attacking, of course, just like every other fighting type, it's pretty decent. So as you can see, with the correct movesets, Blaziken is a powerhouse when it comes to attacking. Let's go ahead and let's just jump right on into the typing and moveset. It is fire and fighting type. It is 2 times weak to flying, ground, psychic, and water type. And then it's resistant to steel, grass, ice, dark, fire, and it's only a 4th damage for bug type. So as you can see, it has a good amount of moves, counter and fire spin for the quick moves, and as you can see, fire spin just barely beats counter, so either one is good to use. And then when it comes to the main move set, Brave Bird, which is not that great, just because it's, it takes a little bit for it to charge it. But if you want to, go up against, I guess, like grass type Pokemon or something, but then again, you already have Overheat and Blaze Kick, which is actually really good. Focus Blast is really good. It's not as good as like Dynamic Punch or even Close Combat, I think. And then Stone Edge, and then Blast Burn if you had a Community Day one. So I would definitely say use Blast Burn, and also probably Blaze Kick. If you want coverage, then use Focus Blast or Brave Bird, and I would choose Brave Bird over Focus Blast. That's just me, personally. But if you have Stone Edge, that would be a pretty good counter to some of the flying types, at least. So, like Blast Burn and Stone Edge, that would be pretty cool if you had a Legacy moveset of Stone Edge, which is actually really hard. I do believe that it was only for a short amount of time that it knew Stone Edge. So only a few amount of people have it, and it was when it first came out, I do believe. Anyways, that is the number 4 spot. Blaziken is overall pretty good. Let's go ahead and go to the number 3 spot. Coming in at the number 3 spot is Machamp with a max CP of 3056, making it at 45th in Pokemon Go. HP of 173, making it at 86th. Attack of a nice 234, making it at 48th. And then defense, which is the lowest, of course, of 159, making it at 163, and stamina of 207, making it 78. So this Pokemon will last just a little bit longer than the other two, just because of the HP and stamina being up there. Defense is the downfall of this Pokemon, but then again, just like every other fighting type, attack is really good, and overall this Pokemon's pretty good. It looks like a toxic Pokemon when it's, like a radioactive Pokemon when it comes to the shiny form, which is on the screen. But let's go ahead and let's look into the typing and moveset. It is a pure fighting type, so it is weak to fairy, flying, and psychic type, and it's resistant to bug, rock, and dark types. And then it has a very versatile moveset of Bullet Punch, Counter, and Karate Chop. It looks like Karate Chop actually beats it with EPS, and same with Bullet Punch, but just because of Stab, Counter is the better choice if you don't have Karate Chop. And then if you look at the main movesets, you can see Close Combat, Dynamic Punch, which is the best one to have, Heavy Slam, which is also really good for type coverage, and then Rock Slide, which is also really good for type coverage, Stone Edge, Submission, which I don't even remember having that, and Cross Chop. So both of those are probably really old, back when the game first started out. But I will say use either Bullet Punch or Counter, unless you have a Karate Chop. And then Dynamic Punch and Heavy Slam, or Dynamic Punch and Rock Slide, just because of the type coverages, is very good. And Dynamic Punch is just the best fighting charge set. So yeah, overall Machamp's pretty good, but there is 2 others that are better than it. Let's go ahead and see what the number 2 is. Coming in at the number 2 spot is Lucario with a max CP of 2703, ranking in at 90th in Pokemon Go. HP of 146, ranking in at 98th. Attack of 236, ranking in at 43rd. Defense of 144, ranking in at 208. And stamina of 172, ranking in at 191. So overall, this Pokemon's half decent except for HP and defense. But that's a common theme when it comes to, fighting type Pokemon. And of course, the attack stat is really nice. So yes, other than that, let's go ahead and go into the typing and moveset. It is a fighting and steel type, so it is 2 times weak to fire, fighting, and ground type. So psychic type does neutral damage then. And it's weak to fighting, even though that fighting is on there, which is very odd. I'd never noticed that before. But it is resistant to steel, grass, ice, dragon, dark, normal, and then it's a 4th for Bug, Rock, and Poison type. So a lot of resistances, so that's why this Pokemon is number 2 on the list. When it comes to quick moves, Bullet Punch and Count is really good. I will say Bullet Punch just barely beats it. Well, it beats it by actually a pretty good amount. And then Flash Cannon, Shadow Ball, Close Combat, and Power Up Punch. So definitely use Power Up Punch because Power Up Punch increases the attack every time you use it, even if it's blocked. So that is a very, very good move to have. And then also Close Combat's really good. But I will say use Power Up Punch and Shadow Ball if you want type coverages, especially for like the Psychic types. Or you can use Flash Cannon. Because Flash Cannon is pretty good, but Shadow Ball would be a pretty good second move. Other than that, Lucario is the number 2 spot. Let's go ahead and see what the number 1 is. And coming in at the number 1 spot is Medicham, with a max CP of 1,431, making it a 289, HP of 132, making it a 270, attack of 121, making it 341, and defense of 152, making it a 185, and stamina of 155, making it a 283. So yes, this definitely goes under the 1500 CP cap that the PvP has for the Great League. So you will need a really high IV Medicham in order to do really good. For some reason, even though the attack stat is only 121, it's actually a very good Pokemon. Probably mostly due to its moveset and also its typing. So if you look at the typing and the moveset, it is a fighting and psychic type, so it's only weak to fairy, flying, and ghost types. So really, it's not that bad. And then it's resistant to only fighting and rock. Everything else is neutral damage. So definitely for the quick moveset, Psychic Cut and Counter are both pretty good. Psychic Cut does a little bit less damage, but look at the EPS, the energy. Oh my gosh, Psychic Cut is actually really good. And then when it comes to the main moveset, Ice Punch, Psychic, Dynamic Punch, and Power Up Punch. So you can use Power Up Punch, of course, because it increases your attack every single time. You could have Psychic because it is a very powerful Psychic type move, but I would say, me personally, I like to use Ice Punch for type coverages, especially with that flying type that is 2 times weak. So if you're stuck with a flying type, you can use Ice Punch. Or if you want to use it later, you can Power Up Punch a few times and it would just do so much damage. And then Ice Punch can also knock out those ground types, those grass types, and the flying types. So yeah, really, this Pokemon is just really good overall. Yes, Medicham is the best one out of the fighting type moves. Alright, so that's gonna do it for the 5 best fighting type Pokemon for PvP in the Great League. What did you think of this list? What typing would you like next? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also make sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification bell so that way you won't miss another video. I'm Elite Trader CJ, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.